there folks, welcome to RRTV's live coverage of the Sim Racers Asia GT3 Series. We're here for round 8 at Road America, and it's a bumper field here of about 30 drivers currently qualifying. But before we get into all that, I'd like to introduce Scott Newton, and we're going to have a bit of a chat about what to expect tonight, where the drivers are sitting in the points, and a few other interesting little bits and pieces. So welcome, Scott.
Hey Benny, hey viewers, good to be here for round number 8 of the Sim Racers Asia GT Series here at Road America. Should be a good one, with the fast flowing straights and also some tight twisty sections as well to throw in the mix there.
Yeah, it's a great track, especially for the GT3s. We see the V8 supercars running around here as well. It's probably one of my more favourite tracks, I'd have to admit.
Yeah, definitely. Also with the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series here last week as well. Obviously a lot of action in this track in all categories. So yeah, it's probably one of the favourite tracks for most drivers as well, and obviously provides some great racing throughout.
Yeah, exactly right, and what makes it so good for the GT3s, it's fast flowing, got some good braking points too, which we can see as they come into Canada Corner here. We're having a look at Brian Renforce. Great opportunity to pass through there. Also keep an eye into turn 1, folks, and the trouble spot, of course, that's down that back straight past the kink, as I call it, the first left-hander, and generally it catches a lot of guys down there, Scott, when they brake themselves.
Yeah, definitely there is some very, very heavy braking, so especially turn 1, down the back straight into turn 3 as well. That's a downhill braking zone, quite blind on the entry as well. And then obviously, as you say, through the kink into Canada as well. Yeah, also with the fast and flying sections in the middle sector as well, there's a lot of passing opportunities through, I think it's turn 6 and 7. So yeah, definitely loads of passing opportunities as well. You definitely don't want to compromise yourself trying to overtake too many times. Yeah,
exactly right. And looking at the information here tonight, as far as the weather goes, folks, it's a hot one. Partly cloudy, 42 degrees Celsius, so a scorcher, or 107 degrees Fahrenheit, depending where you're watching us tonight in the world. So that's going to be a hot one. I don't think it's going to affect tyres much, but it might make the drivers sweat a little bit.
Yeah, it certainly will. I think that with this series being slightly longer than the VRS GT Sprint Series, yeah, they won't be taking tyres, but looking at the wind conditions as well, it's southeasterly at anywhere from about 18 kilometres an hour to like 23, so quite blustery out there. It will be, I think, have a headwind or a tailwind coming up to the turn 3, I think it is. So we'll provide some opportunities for some drafting as well. So it might make overtaking just that little bit easier for the drivers out there today. Yeah, so that's something for the viewers to keep a look at as well. But let's have a look at the point score now, Troy. Let's bring up the GT3 Drivers' Championship, and we'll go through the top 5 there. And from what I can see at the moment, Kevin Huang continues to lead. He's in the only lonely McLaren out there, but boy, is he doing an awesome job. Yeah, definitely. Last week, I think he finished in the top 3, so good, solid points haul for him. Second place at the moment, Yasmin Yali for Wale Base on 562 points, so 26-point buffer from first to second. In third place, Ahmad Nirazem, teammate to Yali on 544 points. Alex Pell for Delta Sim Sport on 428 points, so a bit of a gap there, and running at the top 5, and the first club and driver from a Macau Sim Racing team, Federico Duarte Joaquin de la Roca Texeria.
Yeah, and what I'm taking away from this, just having a look at the round results here, Ahmed Nourism currently 3rd for Wile Base. He's actually gained 10 points now on Jazreen Jali, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. We've got a few more rounds to go here, of course, and we'll see if that gap shortens any further, but it's definitely got that trend at the moment based on the previous round points.
Yeah, definitely. Just looking at the 6th to 10th real quick. Montefri Zanudin for Wildlab Ocean. 7th at the moment is Simon Jorge Sanchez for McCarthy Racing Team. Lyndon Coxey, teammate to Alex Bowl at Delta Sim Sports. Samuel Cheong for McCarthy Racing Team, and Young Chen Kim is running out the top 10, and he's a privateer.
Yeah, and then of course looking at the team championships, we'll bring these up now. So at the moment we've got YLab Ace leading on 1,473 points, Delta Sim Sport second in 1,280 points, Macau Sim Racing Team sitting in third at the moment on 1,258 points, Macau Sim Racing Development Team in fourth on 919 points, and YLab Ocean in fifth on 868 points. And having a look at that at the moment, just those points there from previous rounds, it doesn't look like there's much compression going on in the top 5 anyway.
Yeah, looking at, as you say, last round, YLab extending their lead quite significantly by, I'd say, 85 points over Delta Sim Sports, but worth noting that Velocity Sim Racing, sitting in 7th place overall in the team championship, gained 216 points for their team last week. So there'll be certainly one to, a team to watch out for with 4 rounds to go in the season.
Yeah, exactly right. So we'll see what they can do. And another bit of news out there, folks, is you can see on screen at the moment, Jackson Evans, currently 8th fastest in the Mercedes here. He's carrying the Zent livery. He's actually a Porsche Carrera Cup Australia junior driver, and he comes out of the McElrea Racing Team. He's based in New Zealand, and he's sponsored by Morris Finance. So it's great once again, Scott, to see a real life racer coming out here tonight and having a bit of fun with us.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely good to see Jackson participating in the Sim Racers Asia League. Gives a bit of breadth and diversity with real life drivers coming over to have a bit of a practice and give these sim racers a bit of a go having a crack at a real life driver.
Yeah, that's right, and it'd be helping him with his reflexes and keeping his eye in. If you're wondering, folks, why he's not running a Mercedes, a Porsche, it's because there's no Porsche in the GT3 in this series. The Rough's not in it, so I guess the Mercedes is probably the next best thing, but once again, it's good to have him out there. I'm going to hand over to yourself now, Scott, and Weihan Chan to call the race, and you've got 4 minutes of qualifying left, so I'll hand it over to you.
Right, thanks very much for that, Bernie. Weihan Chan, welcome to the commentary box for roundabout 8 of the Sim Racers Asia GT Championship. What are your thoughts heading into the race tonight?
Hey Scott, hey everyone. Yeah, great to be back for another round of GT racing here on a Saturday night. Of course, we've come to Road America tonight, and I think this is one of those unique tracks which offer a lot of fun and challenges for drivers of all skill levels. Of course, this track being quite large in comparison to most other tracks in the service, it's probably in excess of 5 kilometers long, and it's also got 3 long stretches, that being the main stretch as well as marine sweep as well as the back stretch there right after the kick, and that should add some good action to racing tonight.
Yeah, definitely. Just as we're coming up to the final stages of qualifying, we've got about 3 minutes and 10 seconds left. Provisional pole currently at is Kevin Wong on a 2-minute 5.49. In second place, Brad Watson on a 2-minute 5.72, and a little bit of a gap to Mike Burdett sitting in third place on a 2-minute 6.8 in his Mercedes. So bit of a breadth and depth with the the balance of performance here. I was actually expecting to see the McLaren a lot further ahead, but yeah, it's also good to see that the Audi and the Mercedes are right up there as well.
Yeah, it does look like the balance of performance has sort of evened out the performance of these cars, which, as we can see, that we do have quite a fair representation of each manufacturer up in the top 10. Of course, Kevin Huang currently leads, and his lap time is at 2:05.492, and we've also got the top 10 within a good 1 to 1.5 seconds of one another.
Yeah, just looking at the gaps from say the third place all the way back to say 16th place, that roughly covered by a second. So I also see that from 10th to 13th or even 14th, it's only covered by half a tenth of a second. So very, very close out there, and yeah, just those few hundreds will move you up a few spots.
Exactly, a lot of tight action that I think would unfold tonight with, like you said, with all the lap times in close proximity of one another. Let's have a look at any drivers who may be completing their qualifying laps. Yes, we've just seen Ahmad Nurizam. He's done his qualifying lap of 2:06.271, and that moves him up to 5th.
See that Brad Watson's just starting a lap now, so we'll have to see what he does when he crosses the line. Rightly looking at Rob Harris at the moment. Is he on a lap at the moment? Last lap was an invalid one. He crosses the line now at 2:07.7, so not an improvement. His best at the moment is at 2:07.581, so we'll see whether he improves on his last lap.
So let's look a bit further back. Let's have a look at Alex Pohl. His current lap time is 2:07.713, and as he comes over to take the line, no improvement so far. He still sits in 21st.
Yeah, I think that was an outlap possibly. We've got 15 seconds left of qualifying, so any drivers that cross the line within the next 10 seconds will get another shot at a lap. Looking at Niranjan Kumar crossing the line now, not improving. He did a 2 minute 6.959, and he decides to abort that qualifying lap. Paul Lonigan currently sitting in 12th at the moment, number 76 car, rounding the final corner now in his Green Hornet Racing HPP car. About to cross the line now, up over the hill, getting up to about 230 kilometers an hour, and he moves up into 7th place on a 2:06.418. So a good lap time for him, puts him 7th.
Yeah, but I do believe there are still a few more drivers who are going to complete their lap time. Ooh, Brad Watson, I think he's just put himself into the wall after coming loose through this last corner, I believe.
Yeah, having said that, Kevin Wang decides to take to the pit lane. Next driver that's closest to the line is the number 18 car, Federico Duarte, working into Architects area. Around the final corner now he goes. About to cross the line now. Last lap time was a 2 minute 7.911. Does he improve? No, he doesn't, on a 2:07.978. Alex Pohl. Best lap time at a 7.71. Doesn't improve, unfortunately, with a 2 minute 8.108. Matty Morris is the last car on the track at the moment for Velocity Sim Racing. Current best at the moment 2:06.531. Does he improve? He does. It moves him up to 6th place, so good lap for him on a 2 minute 6.298, and ends up in 6th place, so good lap time for him.
So let's go through the grid now. Of course, we do have now Mr. Kevin Huang. He sits in pole position tonight. His lap time is with, of course, a blistering fast 2:05.492, and beside him on the front row, he's joined by Brad Watson with a 2:05.723. Quite a slight difference there. Quite tight timings, and expect them to fight it out. In the second row, we have Mike Burdett as well as Jasmine Jali. They sit in third and fourth. And in row 3, Ahmad Dorizam and Matt Morris, they sit in fifth and sixth. Row 4 goes to Han So-woo and Paul Lonergan. And row 5, 9th and 10th go to Niranjan Kumar and Jackson Evans. Then in row 6, 11th and 12th, we have Abhirafti Putra as well as Sean Thompson. They take 11th and 12th respectively. Nathan Groden and Zafri Zainuddin, they take 13th and 14th. Daniel Lead and Lynette Coxey, they take 15th and 16th. And we've also got Brian Renfers and Samuel Chang, who takes 17th and 18th. Rob Harris and Andre Ambada, they take 19th and 20th. And Alex Paul and Nathan Tregarthen, they take 21st and 22nd. Federico Teixeira takes 23rd, and Simon Sanchez round up your top 24 of the grid. Now looking further back, Ryan Lam takes 25th and Lachlan Crow takes 26th, and Hugo Silva Jr. and Bruno Cardoso, they round up drivers who've qualified and set a time. We've also got Indra Ferianto, Benjamin Brook, Troy Allen and Zhan Yang. They take the last 4 grid spots, and they've yet to set a qualifying time tonight.
So massive field of 32 cars. It's great to see that everyone's made the grid, given the fact that there was a Nürburgring 24-hour split on. I think it started at 9 AM Australian Western Standard Time, I think. So yeah, it's great to see that we've got 31 cars on the grid. We've got about 25 seconds of gridding left before they start their pace lap. With the 50% fuel window, I would expect them to probably pit around lap 14 or 15 at the latest, given that it's 2-minute 5 lap time. And they'll be taking about, I don't know, between 11 and 15 seconds worth of fuel, I think. But yeah, it'll certainly be interesting to see how the strategy plays out, I think. What are your thoughts heading into the race weekend?
Well, with this track being quite a long track, it is, I think, because long track meaning less lap counts that they'll do tonight. So, like you said, they'll take the pit stops around that time to top up fuel, and probably no tires, because it's only 45 minutes.
Yeah, as we mentioned in the pre-race, the track temperature at the moment is slightly cooled off to about 39 degrees ambient. We've got a partly cloudy skies of 29 degrees ambient, so yeah, it's going to be a fairly tricky one for the drivers, but hopefully they'll be able to have a clean, solid race. Certainly looking forward to following the action. We've got broadcasts coming to live on YouTube and on twitch.tv /RRTV, so yeah, please leave your thoughts and opinions on that. We look forward to getting back to you on that one as well. But yeah, it's just as they're heading up to out of turn 2 and up turn 3, it's a long pace lap on a 6.5 kilometer circuit. It's just over 4.1 miles or something like that. So I think everyone's just about trying to conserve as much as they can at the moment, given that it's a long pace lap.
Exactly, a long track this is, and Scott, apparently on this track, just on this track, there are actually some what we would call invisible corners. So actually, what you labeled as turns 1 and 2 just now, there's actually a kink between turns 1 and 2, which is actually for turn 2. And this corner that they're just passing down now is actually turn 5. That means there are actually sort of a slight kinks right in the middle of those 2 straights that are actually labeled corners. So quite an interesting decision by the circuit to label those corners as such.
Yeah, we typically just straight line those little kinks. I think that's why there's a bit of a confusion. especially between turn 1 and what is labelled as turn 3. But yeah, so it really doesn't make much of a difference, I feel. But
certainly doesn't. So of course
Yeah,
they're
right.
now heading up the carousel. Now this is quite a tricky section, so I would suppose this would be quite a difficult place to make a pass, because right after the carousel would be the kick, and if you were to drive too wide through this section, it's going to be quite tricky to make it out alive at the end of the straight after the kick.
Yeah, definitely. We saw in the World Championship Grand Prix series last week that there was 2 drivers going side by side into the kink, and one of them didn't make it. So definitely going to have to compromise, especially the driver on the outside as well, because obviously the driver on the inside will try to merge towards the middle, otherwise they'll be costing themselves too much time. So just heading up into Canada corner now, one of the tricky tight sections as well, heavy under brakes. It's one of the passing opportunities in the circuit as well.
Of course, this corner has quite a wide curve along the exit, so that should make things a slight bit easier in the form of a bit of a room for error there, as they now head up this uphill corner to this second to last corner. Quite a tricky section here, blind uphill approach here. Now as they approach the final corner, safety car is about to go in, as the race now goes under the control of Kevin Huang and Brad Watson. Race car is in. Green flag. Kevin Huang leads the field ahead of Brad Watson, and now it does look like quite a great start here. Kevin Huang has led the field, and we've got also Mike Burdett trying to make a move on Brad Watson, and we've got Jaswin Jali now in P4, and Ahmed Nur Islam still sticks in P5. Turn 1, they come.
Just looking further back, everyone's gone too wide through here, fairly cleanly. No issues at the moment for any of the drivers, so just as though that all of them have got through safely. It's good to see. But yeah, there's still so there's a red car of Jackson Evans going wide at the exit of turn 2, managing to rejoin the circuit, but he has fallen down 10 places from his starting position, and he's currently sitting 20th at the moment.
Yeah, quite unfortunate. Oh, contact there! Wow, contact between the cars of Simon Sanchez and Hugo Silva Jr. They're 2 teammates coming together. I don't think that would be quite a nice incident there. Of course, let's go back to more contact between Hugo Silva Jr. and Indra Florianto. More cars out of the field. Niranjan Kumar looks to be parked out there, as well as Zafri Zainuddin and Sean Thompson.
Yeah, if we get that back on replay, Bernie, heading up into turn 4, it looks as though that the HPP car, there's contact between one of the Eurasia cars and the Velocity Sim Racing car of, I'm trying to figure out who that is at the moment. Sean Thompson and Niranjan Kumar, I think. So yeah, just the slightest contact. I think that the Audi was trying to merge up into the high line, and yeah, unfortunately the Ferrari was there, and yeah, unfortunately the two don't go into one. So yeah, a bit of an unfortunate event for those drivers. Putting him further back. At the moment, they'll rejoin it at the back of the field. At the moment, but yeah, looking back up the front as they are coming up to lap number 2, Kevin Wang leads from Brad Watson at the moment. Gap at the moment 0.3 of a second, so very, very close. Mike Burdett sits just over half a second behind in 3rd place. So what is that? McLaren, Audi, Mercedes, and BMW are rounding out the top 5. So good mix of manufacturers in that top 5.
Of course, Kevin Huang doing well tonight. He leads the race currently ahead of Brad Watson, as you said. Of course, Brad is now looking to make a move on Kevin.
yeah, through the hurry downs they go, into turn 6. Brad's a little bit too far back at the moment. It looks to the camera ran a little bit wide, but that's normal line that you take through the carousel. You want to try and track out wide and then swing it back in. Try and take the tight line through the second part of the carousel, and then hard on the power they go. McLaren has a definite top speed advantage, but with the stability of the Audi, that'll be right up on the gearbox, I would think, very, very soon. Gap has slightly increased to just under 0.4 of a second, but yeah, in the draft it blows us right back up. Through Canada they go through Bill Mitchell Bend. Everyone's holding station at the moment, but just looking further back at the moment, battle between Ahmad Nirazam and Yasmin Yali from B5 and 6 at the moment. Yali is down 2 positions from his starting grid slot, in 6th at the moment. Gap at the moment, this battle pack at the moment between Nirazam Yali and Sung Woo Han is 6 tenths between the 3 drivers. Fairly close at the moment. Sung Woo Han closing right up to Yali, and Nirazam's gapping at the moment. Last lap time for those drivers, 2:06.9 for Nirazam, 2:08.4 for Yali, and 2:07.1 for Sung Woo Han. So it must have been a slight mistake there for Yali that's allowed Nirazam past.
Because they come down this turn. I'm not sure what turn number this is, but Ahmad Nirazam leads this battle pack of 3 here. He sits ahead of Justin Jolly, as you said, and they seem to be coming closer and closer, coming to this section here. As they approach this right-hander, lifting off no brakes through this corner, very nicely done by the 3 of them. As they approach this corner, get his left hand hard on the brakes, go Ahmad Nirazam and Justin Jolly as they now approach this carousel.
Sorry to interrupt you, Wei-Han, but yeah, we've had an incident between Troy Allen, the number 105 car, and the Delta Sim Sports car, the number 420 of, who is that? So I'm just trying to get it back on replay now.
It's the incident.
Lachlan Crowe it is. So yeah, just coming up to turn 3, Lachlan just goes too hard on the brakes, and yeah, that Mercedes just of Troy Allen's just tried to duck up the inside, but unfortunately is been collected, and yeah, has fallen right back into the 23rd position. I saw that Jackson Evans as well was in and around that battle pack as well, so he's trying to recover from his early mistake. But yeah, Lachlan Crowe at the moment in 17th place, trying to recover from that.
Not exactly a good incident there, quite unfortunate there for Troy Allen there. Let's also look at the replay of the incident between Bruno Cardoso and Ryan Lambda. Of course, Ryan took the outside of the track. I think he went a bit to the outside, and he dipped the grass, got turned back in, and came into contact with Bruno Cardoso, and that might have just ruined it for both of them.
Yeah, I just said that Ryan just put the grass on the entry, and yeah, that sent him wide, and yeah, unfortunately it's a bit of a tricky situation trying to rejoin the track there, and yeah, Bruno's just come steaming in, and yeah, there's a bit of a contact afterwards as well. So an unfortunate event for those 2 drivers, but yeah, they'll be in the pit lane to take their fast repair and get it back out there.
Now coming back live, let's have a look at the Mercedes of Jackson Evans as he took the kick there, he went a bit wide whilst he was trying to contend for P10 with Leonard Coxey ahead of him.
Yeah, you don't want to get out wide on the on the grass there, because that exit curb will send you off into the barriers very, very quickly, especially when you're doing 230 kilometers an hour through that section. So lucky escape there for Jackson Evans that time, but yeah, definitely pushing the limits of that Mercedes at the moment. Last lap time for him as he crosses the line was a 2-minute 7.6, and managed to gain 0.4 of a second on Leonard Coxey ahead of him, and a further 0.2 to Daniel Lead sitting in P number 9 in that Penrite Audi.
Because Daniel Lead leads the three of them here, as Daniel Lead sits in P9 and Leonard Coxey and Jackson Evans, they sit in P10 and 11th. Now as Daniel leads the field down this corner here, hard on the brakes they go, taking the left-hander. Leonard Coxey goes closer towards Daniel, although Jackson Evans, he's got quite a gap to have to fill up. Of course, Leonard Coxey now all over the rear end of Daniel Lead as they head towards this right-hander, lifting off the throttle, no brakes through this corner, as Daniel Lead manages to pull ahead, as he might have done that corner slightly better, and now hard on the brakes they go through this left-hander as they set themselves up for the carousel.
Just seen an overtake Samuel Chang on Brian Redford. That was out of turn number 4. Great move there, managed to get up the inside of Renfers there. So Renfers made a slight error running a little bit wide, and Chang managed to get the traction out of turn 3. Up the inside, Renfers gave the room and allowed him up the inside, and that was a great move there from Samuel to move up into 13th place, 5 positions up from his starting slot.
Absolutely. Now Brian Renfers, he has to settle for 14th, and he would want to try to make a gain and retake P13 from Samuel Chang as they now complete another lap here at Road America.
I see that going back live, Jackson Evans moving up into 10th place on Leonard Coxey, so great move there from Jackson to move up into the top 10, managing to get the draft on Leonard there, and just runs out a little bit wide off onto the grass there at the exit of turn 1, and through turn 2 they go. He'll definitely be picking up the draft for Daniel Lead in the Audi as they go up through the gearbox. Into turn 3, gap at the moment, 0.3 of a second, hard on the brakes they go, closing right up. And yeah, Daniel pulling ahead slightly. So yeah, Jackson will have to settle in to 10th at the moment, but yeah, definitely pressuring Daniel Lead at the moment.
Was Jackson climbing all over the gearbox of Daniel Lead as he tries to find a way through, and contact there between Jackson and Daniel. Of course, probably Jackson braked a little bit late there as now they approach the carousel. Jackson still behind Daniel, although now Daniel, they're maintaining a consistent gap as they go through this section. Now Jackson Evans slowly gaining on Daniel as they come through the kink here.
Yeah, we're looking for a move up on the inside. Daniel will have to go defensive, but doesn't look as though Jackson's quite close enough, and he'll have to settle back in line. Through Canada they go. You can take a little bit of that runoff area, but you definitely have to try and get it back to the right hand side for Bill Mitchell Bend as they go through that successfully now. Running the final corner, and for this lap at least, looks as though that Jackson's got a great exit out of the final corner.
Now of course Jackson now gotten the slipstream from Daniel Lead, and he takes the right of Daniel Lead, and now he's making his move. He's made a pass right on this main stretch, and Jackson Evans up to P8. And Daniel Lead will have to settle for P9, although let's see if Daniel goes for a switchback here as Jackson went a bit wide there as we were saying, and now to turn this corner. To this corner they come. Daniel Lead sits behind Jackson Evans as now it's Daniel's turn to take the slipstream of Jackson down this long stretch.
Just looking further up the front, I see that Brad Watson and Kevin Wong going hammer and tongs at the moment. Watson was all over the gearbox of Wong going into turn 3, but Kevin going on the defensive and managing to hold the position. And through the carousel they go. Our gap at the moment is about half a second at the moment. We're matching times last lap within a hundredth of each other. Actually, Mike Burdett was quickest last lap, around 2:06.82. So, yeah, let's just say that Kevin's managed to gap Watson this lap. But having said that, though, Watson's applying all sorts of pressure at the moment. It's coming up to 30 minutes to go in the row, about a third's race distance complete.
Certainly, Kevin Wong, not easy to pressure him to make a mistake. As you can see here, Brad Watson putting all the pressure he can on Kevin just to find a fault, or rather just to find a crack to make it through. And Kevin Wong still leads here at lap number
8.
Yeah, thank you, lap 8 here. And looking a bit further back, yep, on the main stretch here we have quite a bit of racing action here. Paul Lonergan, he sits in P8, and there's also, sorry, I think I've mistaken one of those cars for a back marker.
Yeah, one of those back markers I think might have been, yeah, it was Federico Duarte, Boggy Docerio, so yeah, he sits in 25th at the moment, jumping out of the way of the lap cars at the moment, so yeah, he's just trying to gain some points at the moment, I think, after his contact on lap number 1, so he sits in 25th at the moment. Also say that Jackson's managed to retake P number 9 from Daniel Lee. He must have made a mistake last lap, and he's made the overtake back on Daniel into turn number 1.
Certainly, now to this corner they come. Because again, to this corner, no brakes through here, although Daniel tapped the brakes a little bit. And Jackson has managed to pull quite a gap ahead of Daniel Lee as they now come towards this slow left-hander and set themselves up for the carousel. Scott, I'd like to have your opinion on this circuit. I find that this circuit is a bit more suited towards Mercedes AMG and perhaps a couple of other cars. Due to its nature, it's got high-speed corners, and the corners are also in such a way that it's more of a point-and-shoot corner instead of any other types of corners. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it definitely suits us. A particular type of car. I would have thought it would have suited the McLaren best, due to the top speed, with the massive straights that we have on this circuit. But obviously, as we see, Jackson Evans running wide at Ilmitchell Bend. But yeah, with these types of cars, I would have thought that the McLaren or the Audi would have been up front, and that's definitely proving true. Cars like the Formula Renault 2.0, and I would say the McLaren MP430 typically run a high to medium downforce type setup. So yeah, it's a bit of a swings and roundabouts, really, just depending on what type of category you're racing here.
Absolutely, good insights there. Of course, Road America is one of those unique circuits that you can just get quite a lot of. Your average speed has got to be high. At the same time, you've also got corners that are quite tricky and challenging for you to make a move. Of course, now Jackson Evans, he's pulled quite a huge gap ahead of Daniel Lead.
So yeah, looking further up the front, Kevin Wong's managed to pull that gap out to 7 tenths of a second. Last time around he managed a 2 minute 6.46, and Brad Watson was about 3.5 tenths slower on a 2 minute 6.8. So Kevin's managing to pull that gap out slightly, which is certainly great for that McLaren. But with that Audi in tow, I would think that he'll be saving just that little bit of fuel as he runs wide. Does Watson.
Wow.
We're very, very lucky to not clip the exit curb and fire it into the wall. So he's lost a further 2 to 3 tenths from that mistake. He's got to watch out for his incident limit as well. We've only got 20 incident points to play with, otherwise he'll find himself back in the pit lane and having to word to the stewards after the race.
Yep, his line's not exactly on form through that section there, through the kink as well as the Canada corner. Of course, now they go up this hill and Brad Watson still not anywhere close to attack Kevin yet, although he may have a chance to get a bit of a slipstream as they now approach turn 1. Kevin brakes, now Brad brakes. Making through this corner, Brad seeks to close this gap.
Just looking a little bit further back, battle for P number 6 and 7, Ahmed Nuzam, Sang Wuhan. Gap at the moment just over 6 tenths to a second. As that Mercedes is coming through turn 2 now, he'll be in the draft. Trying to pick up a slipstream as they head out of turn 2. See if we can go on board. So Sang Wuhan, just to get a bit of a view from his viewpoint. See what 6 tenths of a second looks like. Through turn 3 they go. Getting a good exit. Running out wide to the grass there. Through turn 4. Getting on the power. You definitely want to lift here, especially in GT3 cars with the limited downforce they have on the front. So yeah, through turn 6. Getting a good exit. You want to try and track out wide here to get the good entry for the carousel, which he does. So he's putting a huge amount of lock in, trying to get the car turned in, but yeah, the gap's opened up just a little bit to 6.5 tenths of a second. So looks like that Ferrari, or as Sang Wuhan runs wide, might have picked up an off track there. So definitely having to watch the track limits, but yeah, makes it safely through the kink into Canada. Nearly loses the back end, or sliding through there. Definitely not helping his tyres. Through Bill Mitchell Bend they go, lift here. You want to catch that exit curb on the right hand side. Through the final corner they go. And you want to use all of the curb on the exit there through that corner there, but yeah, gap still holding stable at the moment. We'll find out what his lap time is this time around as they go into start lap number 11, 2 minutes 7.1. So actually Sang Wuhan actually closed in about 400ths of a second, so that drive slightly helping him there, I think, but obviously putting in a lot of lock, so it's definitely not helping his front tyres.
Because great lap there, great half lap there, as we've ridden on him. Great driving there by Han Song-woo, because his lines have been quite aggressive, making use of all the space that he has access to with the curbs and the entry and the exit. Of course, now someone trying to get within an attacking distance of Ahmad Nurisam as he goes all the way up here through mid corner. Although Ahmad Nurisam still leads Song Wuhan up this left-hander on the brakes. They go onto this short stretch here, they dart through, and a slight lift off the throttle. They take this right-hander. Nicely done there, although Ahmad Nurisam still manages to hold his consistent lead ahead of Han Song-woo.
Just looking up the front at the moment, the gap is closed to about 4 tenths of a second between Kevin Wong and Brad Watson. Got a little bit of traffic ahead for Kevin. We'll just have to wait and see how they negotiate that. Trying to find out who that is at the moment. Going for that's Leonard Cutsey. He must have, yeah, he's taken to the pit lane. So with a 1 minute 56 pit stop, he must have had some sort of issue that we must have missed. and he's going to jump out of the way. So actually, no, yeah, Kevin uses the toe to get a little bit of an advantage, just to pull that gap out slightly. But yeah, gap still sits at about 3.5 tenths of a second as they head up into turn 1. And yeah, Kevin managing to hold on at the moment.
Yes, back marker there with the slipstream that goes to their advantage of, although now Brad Watson is all over the rear bumper, the gearbox of Kevin Huang as they head towards, as they're on this long stretch here. Kevin Huang still leads Brad Watson. I think, Scott, you can see from the McLaren has the top speed advantage, although now Brad Watson tries to take the inside, but Kevin Huang takes the inside as well. Now Brad Watson goes to the outside, Kevin Huang hard on the brakes and he takes the inside, defends the inside line, and he barely holds on to the race lead now. On the brakes they go to this part. Kevin Huang nicely executed that. He's managed to defend his lead at that section here.
Yeah, it's definitely good defensive driving there from Kevin. Might be costing him just that little bit of time trying to defend, but yeah, Brad Watson all over the gearbox at the moment. It'll be interesting to see. They're in the pit window at the moment. I've got 20 minutes and 30 seconds worth of racing to go. It'll be interesting to see whether one of the drivers decides to take to the pit lane. I'll just have a quick check to see where cars would come out if they decided to pit. Brad would come out about 5 seconds behind Andrew Amador at the moment. Also, Watson decides to go around the outside, but they can't pull off the move.
Oh, and, that was very close there.
Yeah,
I thought he was going to make a move, but he had to rely on the exit there. Of course, you can only have so much curb room there for you to make a move. So Kevin Huang still holds on to the lead at lap number 11.
Sorry, they're getting up to lap number 13.
Apologies.
But yeah, you can overtake around the outside at Canada Corner. It's very, very tricky though, as yeah, we experienced this. See that Hansung was into the pit lane as well. So yeah, pit window definitely open at the moment. As yeah, drivers. I see that probably half the field has taken to the pit lane already. See that who's that in front? Kevin. That's actually Troy Allen at the moment, sitting in the 20th place at the moment. We'll see whether he jumps out of the way. I think he'll navigate turn 3 and then have to jump out of the way, otherwise he runs deep anyway. So
goes to white. Kevin spins as well, and the lead now goes to Brad Watson, of course, capitalizing off that. Brad Watson now has the race lead. Troy Allen with the Classy, they sandwich themselves between the first and second. Kevin Huang there. Quite an unfortunate ordeal there for Kevin Huang. He now drops to second and he's gone a bit loose here and there through those past few corners.
Yeah, it's definitely caught him out with that lap car. And I think he just tried to get on the power just that little bit too early, and yeah, he's definitely bitten the bullet there. He falls back to third place. Mike Burdett managing to capitalise on that as well. He sits second at the moment. I wouldn't be surprised if Kevin decides to jump in the pit lane. He's got a bit of clean air at the moment. If he decides to come out in, he'll actually come out around about 12th place at the moment. But Burdett trying to navigate Troy Allen at the moment. So a little bit of traffic coming into play throughout this race, and yeah, it's certainly been interesting to see Kevin definitely trying to close up as well.
Yeah, Burdett makes the move on Troy Allen, and Burdett, he goes into the pits. And Kevin Huang also makes his move on the back marker, a car lap down Troy Allen there, and that, I believe, has now made his way back to second while Mike Burdett has gone into the pits. Although now I'd like to have a look at the car of Daniel Lee.
He's decided to jump into the pit lane a little bit further back. Samuel Chung has decided to take the pit lane. That was a pretty close battle between him and Daniel Lee.
Of course, the pit window is... Sorry.
Yeah, so yeah, just looking a little bit further back, Abirafti Putra and Hansung Wu battle for 13th and 14th place at the moment. Both of these drivers have taken to the pit lane as well, so this is a battle for battle for position. We'll see whether these drivers are able to jump. Daniel, he's still in the box at the moment, so they still will jump through. Roden, a little bit further back, he's coming around the second last corner now, so Sangwuhan, there's a huge gap between Dan Leet, Samuel Chang and Groden, so yeah, some fairly close battles, but also some fairly big gaps as well. So that 7th, 8th and 9th at the moment, Lachlan Crowe, Mike Burdett and Matty Morris heading up through turn 4 and 5 now. Matt being the benefactor of that battle at the moment, 7th place currently. Gaps just under 0.4 of a second between himself and Burdett, both in the Mercedes AMGs. See that the two leaders are pitted of Watson and Wine. Gap between those two drivers is about 5 seconds as they're coming through the pit lane. See the average pit lane time for everyone's about 55 seconds. With an average stop time of about 13 seconds. Quickest pit lane time that I would think would make it home is probably Matty Morris at 12-second stop. But Abirafti Putra in the Ferrari with a 7-second stop, so we'll have to see whether he's able to make it on fuel. I don't think he will, but that might have been just a pit lane error on my end, as Watson rejoins the lead from the pit lane.
Oh, is that Kevin Huang who's just exited the pits right in front of Mike Burdett? Ooh, that is really close there. Right, Kevin Huang sits ahead of Mike Burdett, although now Mike, it's very easy for him to attack Kevin from this proximity. Of course, Mike all over the rear end of Kevin Huang and Mike Burdett. He now takes the right to try to make a move, a drag race down the moraine sweep here. So close, side by side, as they head down this downhill section, and Kevin Huang backs out of that, and that cedes the position to Mike Burdett.
Yeah, great round the outside move from Mike Burdett up into 3rd place. So Kevin must be struggling just that little bit. But yeah, he's definitely trying to find his feet after that pit stop. That small mistake probably hindered his confidence through that corner. As yeah, the McLaren's definitely want to snap out of in the rear of the car, and yeah, it's unfortunately caught him out. Yeah, this battle at the moment is the closest on track, but at 0.8 of a second out to Morris, and a further half second behind is Kevin, who's trying to close up onto the gearbox in the draft. So heading up into Canada.
Not exactly best race tonight for Kevin, I suppose. A bit of mistakes, or I guess he's just a bit out of form tonight as they now head towards this last corner.
Yeah, we'll run you through the top 10 as they currently stand at the moment. 12.5 minutes left of racing. Brad Watson currently leads, 6-second gap to Matt Morris in 2nd. Mike Burdett in 3rd place. Kevin Wang in his McLaren sits 4th, and the BMW of Jaswin Yali runs at the top 5. Amon Nurizam in his Ferrari sits in 6th place. Lonergan in the Green Hornet racing car sits in 7th. In the Audi, Abirafti Putra sits in 8th place. Ansung Wu sits in 9th in his AMG, and rounding out the top 10, Daniel Lee. Pretty good performance for him. One of the RRTV commentators, the AOSC V8 Championship, doing a great job. That's good to see that commentators are obviously able to put in a solid performance. So good to see him up in the top 10. See that Troy Allen as well. Not the best of races for him, sitting in 20th at the moment, but he's up 10 positions from his starting grid slot as well, so he's had a fairly solid race as well.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of Daniel Lee, I believe he's actually in the Discord in-car reporting interview, I guess. So would we want to bring him up to check on his status at this stage of the race?
He's currently coming through turn 6 at the moment, so we might leave it until he gets to the start finish line. But yeah, unfortunately, yeah, we'll have to jump up to the battle for 3rd and 4th at the moment. Kevin Wang is closed all the way up to the back of Mike Burdett. Gap at the moment is just under 0.4 of a second. Last lap time was Kevin was this outlap, so we'll have to see what the lap time is just across the line this time around. 2:07.2 for Matty Morris, 2:07.1 for Mike Burdett, and 2:07.2 for Kevin. So fairly even Stevens at the moment, as Mike closed in on Morris, but yeah, Kevin was gapped slightly to Burdett. As I say that Averafti Pucha in the pit lane as well, so he didn't take enough fuel to the end of the race, and that will be his second stop. That'll put him quite far back from his initial position, sitting 12th at the moment, but hasn't come out of the pit lane. I reckon he'll come out in 14th or 15th place.
Oh, so now Daniel Lee, he makes his way through this second long stretch here. Let's pull him up for a short chat. Hey Daniel, sorry to interrupt you at this stage of the race. How is your race going so far? Of course, I'm aware that you've had a bit of a contact here and there earlier in the race.
Hey fellas, yeah, doing alright. We're sitting, where are we, P9th at the moment, so not too bad from 15th on the grid.
Sounds great, of course. So, quite an interesting track this is. Not exactly the easiest track, but of course fun to drive tonight. Of course, with the battles that you've been having with, I believe it was with Jackson Evans you had just now?
We lost a little bit through the carousel, which we're going through now. Car just doesn't seem to hook up a lot, and getting through the kink here has been real sketchy all night. But no, it's been a lot of fun. The guys have been really good. We got lucky that lap 1 incident, I don't know whether you guys caught that on the broadcast, but there were quite a few good cars that went out as a result of that.
Absolutely great to hear that. And Scott, would you like to ask him anything?
I think that with the 2 and a bit second gap at the moment to Samuel Chang, I think we'll leave Daniel to it. We've still got just under 8 minutes left of the race, so best of luck, Daniel, and we hope to see you at the end of the race.
Yeah, no worries, boys. Thanks for checking in. I'll have a chat to you after the race.
That was Daniel Lee, and he now currently sits in P9, and he's got Samuel Chang breathing down, I believe, trying to make a move on Daniel Lee, although they are currently 1 second ahead. Let's have a look at Samuel. He should try to close in the gap with Daniel within this lap.
Yeah, I've just seen that Mike Burdett has been overtaken by Kevin Wang. That was heading up into turn number 4. But if we can get a replay on that one, heading into turn number 3, looked as though that Kevin got a great exit, and looks as though that Mike didn't necessarily get the best of exits, but yeah, with the draft and the top speed of the McLaren that in the hands of Kevin Wong, yeah, manages to get up the inside, retakes it. Yeah, managed to. Actually, Mike got around the outside of Kevin into turn 3, but yeah, Kevin managing to get up the inside for turn number 4 and not holding the position through turn 5. So good move there for Kevin, moving him back up into that final podium position. Gap to Rd8 has opened up to 0.6 of a second. So good job there for Kevin, trying to recover from his pole position slot at the start of the race.
Of course, a great drive there by Kevin, and I believe he's now getting back on top of his handling, on top of his car, on top of his form tonight. Now, Mike Rd8, he goes down to 4th, he sits in 4th for this lap. And so far, we've got Brad Watson. He's actually pulled quite a huge gap, I believe 8 seconds lead ahead of Matt Morris, who currently sits in 2nd.
Yeah, it's definitely been a solid performance for Brad. Been dominating throughout the series of Sim Racers Asia GT series. Been really no surprise. I think that it was only a matter of time whether Brad was going to get through Kevin, but yeah, Kevin was doing a really solid job trying to maintain the lead of the race, but yeah, it was unfortunate that he had a back marker that threw his confidence off and tried to get the power early, and yeah, finds himself in the 3rd position at the moment. But, yeah, looking further back at the moment, battle for P9 and 10. Daniel Lee, driver that we were just interviewing, Samuel Chang, has closed right up into the gearbox of that number 527 Audi as they're heading up into turn 3.
Of course, Samuel trying to close in the gap and reach attacking distance with Daniel lead. Of course, now they approach this short stretch. Samuel has to do quite a lot more to get within range to make a move on Daniel. Now onto this left-hander, they come hard on the brakes. Daniel distance still maintains as they now come to this carousel. Still maintaining their line. Of course, both cars doing their line quite well here, although Samuel Chang looks to have the top speed advantage as he leads as he's left this corner. A tap of the brake there as they approach the kink here, and Daniel Lee still manages to hold on to the advantage, and now hard on the brakes. They come to Canada corner.
Yeah, from what Daniel was saying, I think that trying to get through the carousel and the kink, he might be running a slightly trimmed out rear wing to aid him on the turning, but yeah, we saw that the traction of Samuel Chang allowed him to get through there much nicer and close up on the gearbox, and they're coming up to start lap number 20 now. We're just over 3 minutes and 20 seconds to go in this race. Through turn 1 they go. Samuel closing to within 0.3 of a second. He closed in, was that 0.3 of a second last time around, so it might be only a matter of time as he's going to get a great exit out of turn 2. Just going to ride on board with him. See whether he's able to close in up onto turn 3. He's not gaining that much as I would have thought, but Daniel going defensive and Sam having to fall back. Great defensive move there from Dan, maintaining the 9th position.
Yeah, but I do believe Samuel is just trying to drive a bit more conservatively now, as we are quite this late into a race, and I don't think Samuel wants to risk too much to make the move on Daniel. Of course, Samuel has the pace to keep up with Daniel within range. So let's see if they'll be able to attack out, and of course now they come to this carousel corner for another time. As you can listen to that, Samuel feathers his throttle to get the best line through the carousel, and now they come to this stretch. as they approach the kink here. Slight tap of the brakes, perhaps, as they exit nicely on the curbs there. Samuel takes the curbs on the exit there as they go towards this long stretch before they go hard on the brakes for Canada corner. Samuel goes all the way close to Daniel lead, although now Daniel starts to pull out again as they now head towards Bill. This corner, left-hander. Daniel lead perhaps still going to maintain the advantage ahead of Samuel as they complete this lap.
Yeah, we're just under 1 minute and 30 minutes. Sorry, 1 minute and 30 seconds left of this race. Brad Watson currently on lap number 21 as they're heading through turn 4 now. We'll have to see whether this is the white flag lap of the race, but yeah, closest battle at the moment is between Samuel Chang and Daniel Lee. So they're running up through turn 2. Sam trying to get the best exit. Daniel getting a fairly solid exit, but yeah, with the toe that Samuel has, he'll be looking to put all sorts of pressure. So you also see that Rob Harris is in a battle at the moment. But yeah, looking at Samuel trying to go around the outside at the moment, going deep under brakes. Doesn't manage to pull it up, and Dan going defensive. That allows Sam to get up on the inside. Yeah, great move there from Sam. And moves up into moves up into 9th place, taking full advantage of that mistake there from Dan.
Yep, great driving there by Samuel Chang, that making the attack at the right moment. And that puts Samuel up to P9 and Daniel Lee drops back to P10.
Yeah, I'll just say that that was the white flag, so Brad Watson takes round number 8 of the SimRacers Asia GT series, so yeah, congratulations to him. I've just seen that the checkered flag has come out. Matty Morris manages to hold on to 2nd place. Kevin Wong managed to consolidate on that mistake and finishes 3rd. Mike Burdett finishes in 4th. Yasmin Yali runs out the top 5. Really good job from him, fairly solid race for that BMW. Just looking further back at the moment, Samuel Chang managing to maintain that position in 9th place. So great try from him. He'll come across the line in 9th, and rounding up the top 10 will be Daniel. Battle looking further back, so 16th and 17th between Brian Renfers and Rob Harris. Audi versus Mercedes. Rob getting a great exit out of Canada corner, trying to go around the outside, but I don't think he'll have the preferred line through Bill Mitchell bends, and he'll have to fall back in line to take the final corner. But or he's running on the grass, or there's no room there, Rob, and he'll have to settle back for 17th place. Good battle there between Renfers and Harris. They'll take 16th and 17th. Andrew Abadar and Leonard Cupsey, they'll take 18th and 19th. And the last car that will be classified will be Troy Allen. He's coming around Canada corner now. It's been a fairly quiet race for Troy. Unfortunately, was involved in an incident fairly early on. I think that was with Jackson Evans, and was also involved in that that lead lap battle as well. Going deep under brakes into turn 3, but here he crosses the line, finishes in 20th place, and he will be the last car to take the checkered flag.
Of course, an interesting race tonight. Of course, we've seen quite a number of battles that were 2-way battles, 3-way battles as well, and though especially at a circuit like Road America, it was exciting for all of us. So let's have a look at the grid, at the finishing grid tonight. So of course we have race winner Brad Watson. Of course, Brad Watson, he's had quite a lot of battles with Kevin Huang, and Kevin unfortunately lost it at around the lost his control over the car at various points in the race, which led to Brad Watson taking the lead and thereafter winning the race. So Brad takes first, and Matt Morris finishes in second. Kevin Huang, slightly unfortunate for him, he finishes in third, and Mike Burdett, he finishes in fourth. Jasmine Jali and Ahmad Norizam, they take fifth and sixth tonight, and Paul Lonergan and Han Song-woo, they take seventh and eighth. And Samuel Chang and Daniel Lee, both of them, they've had great battles. They've had a great battle towards the rear end of the end of the race today. They take 9th and 10th. Alex Pohl in 11th, and Lachlan Crow takes P12.
13th place goes to Nathan Groden. And in 14th, Abirafti Putra, having to take to the pit lane for a second time, so he falls down 3 positions from his starting grid. Nathan Tregarthen up 7 spots to finish in 15th, so good performance for him. Brian Renfers takes 16th place, and just ahead of him was Rob Harris in 17th. Andrew Amadar finishes 18th. Leonard Cuxey in 19th, and running up the top 20 is Troy Allen. Zhang Yang up 10 positions from his starting position in 21st. Federico Duarte rocking Rocket Texaria in 22nd. Jackson Evans, an unfortunate race for him, down 13 positions from his starting slot in 23rd. Ryan Lamb finishes 24th. Bruno Cardoso 25th. Simon Jorge Sanchez in 26th. Mod Zeffrey Zanudin 27th. Hugo Silva Jr. Indra Ferianto, Aranjan Kumar, Sean Thompson, and was the Benjamin Brook was the last car to round out the field, but unfortunately, I don't think he took the start.
Exactly, quite an eventful race tonight, and of course we have Kevin Huang, who's in the green room tonight for an interview. So let's bring him down for an interview, shall we, Scott?
Yeah.
Yeah, hi Kevin. Good evening. Welcome to the post-race interview. Of course, congratulations to your for your race results tonight. You came home in third, but of course we knew you had the win in your hands until you possibly lost control of your car at some points in the race tonight.
Yeah, definitely, possibly lost control of my car. I just choked. I just choked. I was putting in qualifying laps every lap for the whole race, and it was going to eventually happen. Brad was his race pace was much faster. I was completely surprised that I had him on qualifying. I thought he would have did a last minute thing. I was so surprised I got pole, but I was looking at his practice times, and it looked like his race pace was really strong. So yeah, I think the correct driver got the win today. If I had the win, it would have been like I would have snatched it away from him. It wasn't the fastest car winning it if I had done number P1.
Oh, that's fair enough. I mean, although we were quite surprised, we were really surprised actually to see your pace and how you were able to hold up against Brad Watson. And of course, Scott, correct me if I'm wrong, I think at certain points of the race, I think we were able to see sort of a speed advantage that you had ahead of Brad Watson as you took on some of the straights and tried to defend your position from Brad.
Yeah, I don't know. It would have been really close. He probably had a 0.3 or 0.4 of a second lap advantage on race pace. I'm just lucky that the McLaren is so fast on the straight at this track. Is so fast on the straight that you can get me. If he was like 0.5 of a second faster than me, he would have gotten me on the straight. But it's just enough. Especially that penalty, the weight penalty they have on the Audi. If they don't have that weight penalty, he probably would have passed me on like lap 2 or lap 3. He probably would have gotten pole probably. But yeah, there was the reason why I spun was just stupid. I completely didn't account for the draft. I think this is what happened. I didn't account for the draft given to me by the lapped car. I think it was Troy Allen or something. I was hoping he would move over, but that's cool. So I got the draft from him, and I broke, I think, at roughly the same point as I normally do, but that's, I think, with the added speed from getting the draft, and I have to take a tighter entry because I had to leave lap traffic room. I completely just screwed up. Just brain fade, we call it brain freeze or whatever. I choked. But it was a really fun race.
Absolutely, can tell. I mean, you can only push for so long before you perhaps break. But of course, a great attempt by yourself tonight to hold it up together and finish on to finish on the podium. I think that's a great takeaway, a good takeaway if you look at the things.
Yeah, that's actually my goal. My goal at the beginning was not even really winning. I was just wanted second place was actually my goal. Third place is still good. I think that's as good as the McLaren is gonna get. I don't know. I think I got a lot out of the car today. Sometimes I go into races and I feel like I could have done a lot more, but except for that one mistake, I think I did the McLaren proud, the old girl proud.
Absolutely, first GT3 in the iRacing service still stands strong.
I know, still alive.
Absolutely.
Someone has to. Yeah, 2012.
Oh, that was so long ago.
I'm pretty sure. McLaren MPC-12C 2012. Easy to remember. Yeah, remember the SRA days at the Summit Point?
Come on, don't remind me.
We're not going to bring that up. If anyone's curious, you can look on YouTube. I can provide links. But it's that's in the past now. Lehan's much better driver now.
Yeah, back then, 2013, it was even before this SRA lead became what it is today.
Oh yeah,
well, memories from back then.
Yeah, hard to imagine how it went from back then to now. It's amazing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, well, something's changed, some things still remain, and I'm just glad that things have become what they are today.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine you're like a commentator now. Right.
Never. All right. I'm sorry, Bernie. Rather, we've got to wrap it up quite soon now. So, would you like to, would Scott? Do you have any questions that you'd like to ask Kevin tonight?
Yeah, I just like to congratulate you on your third place. But yeah, it was certainly unfortunate that you made that mistake into turn number 3, and it was certainly a good battle that we were watching throughout the race. But heading into next week. Second last round of the championship, Nordschleife. What are your thoughts heading into that particular round? Because that's certainly looking like a challenge.
Oh, I didn't know it was Nordschleife. That sounds terrible. I hate that track. To be fast there, I think you need so much practice track time there. I never really, you just had to invest so much time in that track, and it's almost as bad as Le Mans was the problem. Le Mans was another track I had a problem on before because it's the race, the track length becomes twice as long. It doesn't take twice the length to learn all the corners. To me, it takes like 4 or 5 times longer. So I am not looking forward to that at all. That's gonna be it's gonna be really bad for me. I suck there so bad.
But just before we let you go, Kevin, is there anyone that you would like to thank before we let you go?
I'd like to thank Bruno Cardosa. I think he was in the race today. I don't know how he did, but he's been doing the timing, the championship points every week, nonstop, and he's been just doing it by just churning them out. He does it so fast. It's really like we get the points updated in like 12 hours or 8 hours. Before, when I did it, used to take like or Mark did it, take 2 or 3 days because it's a painful process. For him to do it every week in, week out, really thank him. And he'll be providing the cups, the championship awards for first place in the Clubman, first place in Pro-Am, and also the team championship. So he's just doing so much this season. I really can't say enough about him.
No worries, Kevin. Well, thanks very much for that, and we hope to see you next week for round number 9 of SimRacers AGGT Championship at the Nürburgring.
Thanks, man. I probably won't be able to do the interview because I'm probably going to crash halfway through the race. But I'll try to make it anyways. All right, see you guys later. Thanks so much.
No worries, all the best. For our final interview tonight on RRTV, we are going to bring in Daniel Leet and Troy Allen. Good evening, gentlemen. Welcome to the RRTV booth. We've got Daniel Leet and Troy Allen in the booth. First to Daniel, congratulations on your 10th place. It looked as though that you were going to hold on to the 9th position, but it was on Samuel Chang managed to pip you at the end of the race. Just tell us a little bit about your race.
Yeah, g'day fellas. No, it was good. We got really lucky with that bit of a crash. Turn 1 took out a few good cars around. So I think Nathan Growden and Sean Thompson that were involved in that one early on. So I don't know how we scraped through that, but managed to do it, no issues. And then, had a good little battle there with Leonard Kuski for a while. Jackson Evans as well, and then, as you said at the end there with Samuel, and we just didn't have the tyres at the end of it to be able to fight him off, which is a shame because I would have liked the 9th spot, but it just came one lap too late.
Yeah, definitely. It looks as though that in that, as you say, the tyres were gone, but did you look to trim out that Audi tonight, or were you looking to run downforce galore in that car to get the traction out of the corners?
It was a pretty mixed set. We kind of had more downforce probably than what we needed on the rear, and we were tapped out as far as traction control was concerned as well. So we really were playing with a pretty empty bag at the end of it. But all in all, I mean, the car felt really good. As we said when we had a quick chat mid-race, the run through the kink after the carousel was a bit skittish pretty much most times. It felt you could feel it sliding and hopping towards the wall there. So kind of glad there was enough in it to hold it there. But maybe just need a bit more seat time to get my head around it again.
No worries. Thanks very much for that, Daniel. Coming to you, Troy. Up 10 positions from where you started, so a fairly solid race for yourself. But just tell us a little bit about your race.
No, I don't think he's around.
We got you there, Troy.
Yeah, yep, I'm here. Sorry, the computer's having hissy fits, which is the story of my night, to be honest. Had to do a reboot, wheel failure. It was on a GT4 setting, so it was just basically a Saturday night cruise session for me. So to come home 10 spots up, I'm relatively happy with.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, with yourself running the Mercedes, was you looking to trim out on the downforce level, or were you looking to try and keep as much downforce as you could in the car just to maintain stability?
No, I wound it out quite a fair bit. I think I was only running about 4 degrees of rear wing there. So I found it sort of turned in a lot better at the kink after the carousel there because the car wasn't sort of seesawing the front end off once you got up to that higher speed.
Yeah, definitely. With that amount of downforce, did you manage to? Did you find it quite a lot easy to take positions off cars ahead, or were you sort of like in a bit of a train throughout the race?
No, it was pretty much a Saturday night cruise session. There was no one really around. They just kept dropping away like flies without me doing anything really. So, but yeah, in a straight line, it wasn't too bad. I still think probably could have taken maybe another degree out of it. But again, I didn't really have a chance to play around with it too much in the practice session. And then this set was from a cooler track. So when I've seen the track at nearly 40 degrees, it sort of threw things all up in the air for me.
No worries. Well then, first coming to you, Dan. Heading into next week, we've got the Nürburgring combined Nordschleife next week. What are your thoughts heading into that track, given that it'll be a fairly tough one for most of the drivers out there?
Yeah, I'm not too sure what to expect. I know the last few times we've gone there hasn't been the best. I think you need to have a lot of seat time, which I'm not sure myself. I don't know how much I can put into it this week. So as far as setup goes, I think she'll be very sketchy, but it's a good little circuit. Can't say little when you talk about the Nordschleife though, but it's a lot of fun. It will take a pretty balanced car. I think a lot of guys, probably myself included, will want to have downforce absolutely maxed out on it to get the most out of it, but it'll be interesting.
And to yourself, Troy, what are your thoughts heading into next week around the Nordschleife?
Yeah, it petrifies me. It's never been a favourite track of mine. It's a lot to get my head around, and I won't have any seat time. Basically, I'll be flat out at work. I won't be home for the whole week, so that'll all depend on what I can get done Saturday morning as to whether I turn up or not with the car.
No worries, well, gents. Just before we let you go, is there anyone that you would like to thank before we let you go?
I might just give a quick shout out to the boys at Stealth Simfort Force for helping us out again tonight. Penrite being on the car, yourselves, RRTV, and On The Go Sporting Apparel.
Yeah, obviously I've got to give a big shout out to WP Concreting, Middle Finger Racing, Auto Kings, West End Mazda, RRTV for the broadcast they do, and yeah, hopefully we can turn up without some hardware issues next time.
No worries, gentlemen. We hope to see you next week for round number 9 of the Sim Racers Asia GT Series at Nürburgring. Congratulations, Daniel, and commiserations, Troy. And we hope that both of you have great results the next round.
Yeah, thanks, Matty.
Thanks, fellas. Have a good night.
So that was Troy Allen and Daniel Leet, our final interviewees for tonight. Turning to the Nürburgring Nordschleife next week, Wei-An, what are your thoughts heading into the next round of the championship?
Next week we go to Nordschleife. The Green Hell, of course. It's the one and only Green Hell. I think it's going to be quite a lot of action, to say the least. Possibly a bit of carnage here and there. I mean, due to the nature of the track, and of course from a strategy standpoint, as what Daniel pointed out just now, of course drivers may want to go for more downforce, but at the same time, because the lap numbers will be limited, I think they'll have to fuel window, the pit window for them to refuel may just get narrowed down to that one single lap that's right in the middle of the race.
Yeah, definitely. We'll be looking forward to bringing that action to you next week on RRTV, on YouTube, and Twitch.tv. Coverage will be starting at 12 GMT and +8 GMT. That will be 8 PM, and on Australian Eastern Standard Time that will be 10 PM. Next week I will be away, just to put that out there. So it'll be yourself, Wei-Han, and Bernie to call the action. If there's a stand-in, hopefully that will come about. But yeah, I'll be actually over on the east coast of Australia, so on a 1-week holiday. So I'll be looking forward to seeing the action from as a spectator. So hopefully that race at the Nordschleife will be full of action. But yeah, I think we'll wrap it up from here. But yeah, so on behalf of Bernie Weemers and Wei-Han Chen, my name's Scott Newton, and yeah, we'll see you next week for the round number 9 of the Sim Racers Asia GT Series.